Welcome back. This is Hovey Smith with your second lesson on Make Your Own Job, anytime, anywhere, at any age. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the reality of the modern workplace. Now, some of you know this only too well. You've been in it for decades. But this is for those people who perhaps never have or haven't yet actually entered the workplace. They're in high school, they're finishing up their college, and they have heard about it but haven't really experienced it. So it's vital that they have this information too. So even though you just maybe nod your heads and say, yeah, it's like that, well, bear with me through this lesson. What employers need are employees with a basic set of core skills. Now, what are these skills? Reading, writing, simple mathematics, all right. More directed skills towards their job. You know how to stock a shelf? Boom. Okay, you can learn that. They also need someone who has the ability to work with others. Companies, corporations, and businesses are almost by definition a conglomeration of people, at least in the usual sense. Now, you can have a solo-owned business, and you are both your employer and your employee. Okay, but most of the time there are other people involved. So, the employer has to be able to get along. Well, not necessarily everybody gets along with everybody else. You've got to be available. Yeah, show up to work. That sounds simple enough. But if you've never done it, okay, you've been to college and you've been used to making college classes on time, all right, you've got to make it to work on time too. Some work conditions are so restricted that if you are late by 2 hours, you're fired. Bang! That's it. No excuses, nothing. You're out of there. All right? Trainability. Can you learn, and are you willing to learn? The business world is changing, and everything is moving around at a very great rate of speed. There will be new programs, there will be new products, there will be new processes going through all your careers. You've got to be able to roll with the punches or move away and do something else. Most jobs in retail trade, or most others really, require a degree of physical ability, some more than others. If you're a logger and are going to climb up a 40-foot tree and cut the top out of it, yeah, you need some physical ability. Well, most jobs are not quite that severe. But to be able to haul buckets, haul boxes of stock, move things, put things up on shelves, be mobile, and so on and so on and so on, yes, you need to have some physical agility. Computer skills. More and more important every day. If you have some thought that I can get by in this world without ever picking up a computer, well, I'm sorry guys, but that is a very rough road to hoe. You're almost guaranteed not to make it. You can certainly expand your horizons considerably by letting computers give you access to the world. Because you want to sell to the world, not just your friends and relatives. Self-starting. Self-starting is more significant in some professions than others. If you're in advertising, you're going to be expected to be a self-starter. You're going to be expected to bring in clients. You're going to be expected to originate original and genuine good ads. We've all seen ads. And some of them are absolutely terrible. And some of them are so terrible they're funny. They're purposefully bad. All right. Can you produce these kind of products if you need to be? Are you a creative individual? Can you come up with something new other than being told to put widget A on top of post B? If that's all you can do, well, all right. That's all you can do. What the worker wants. Well, you also need wages that match your job and wherever you are located. If you're required to live in New York, I guarantee you, you're going to need much more money just to survive than you were, say, in Sumter, South Carolina, a small southern town. Yeah, it's much cheaper to live in South Carolina than it is in New York. And many people doing remote work found that out and are living in Sumter, South Carolina and other places like it. Small rural areas, free from most crime, away from heavy city traffic, out of the urban environment, almost entirely in small town America. And this has been found to be a very effective move for some workers, and they really enjoy it. Ethical workplace. That is seen and getting a lot of attention in recent days, primarily because of man-woman relations and interracial relations, both of which interplay, and they interplay very, very commonly. We are, after all, human beings. We have sexual urges, etc., and you may be thrown in with someone who is very attractive to you. I was. Well, we were in the same company, as it turned out, and I wound up marrying the gal. Okay, that was fine. But what if you're approached by a supervisor that's already married and he wants you to put out for him, with it, and not tell his wife? Well, he wants an affair with you. That is unethical. To try to coerce someone who works for you into doing something they really don't want to do, like sex, yes, that is blatantly unethical. You also don't demean your employees. You don't call them names, you don't use racial slurs, ethnic slurs, or anything like that. You don't call people Polacks. No, you don't do that anymore. Okay. So watch out for this kind of stuff because it can get you in real trouble. Now, you want human interaction with others. Despite what I said about people interrupting your work, yeah, it is nice to have some human interactions with your fellow workers in an informal situation. That's why lunchrooms are so popular. Yeah, you get together at lunch and you talk about your family, and talk about what you're doing, what your last hunt was like, what your last business trip was like, how the other people were, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And this is normal. And this breeds camaraderie among your workers to have them to give them a chance to interchange with each other on a regular basis, like an in-house cafeteria. Not only does it keep everybody in-house, literally, and they don't have to travel and spend money to find lunch, hopefully you serve them some good food and they, by choice, choose to eat there. People want these days, as I mentioned before, more remote work options. Yeah, they'll go in 2 days a week, say, and that's fine. They get the human interactions They go to the required company meetings, they have their safety trainings and so on and so on and so on, things they have to gather to do, but most of the work is done. Now that we've considered what employers and employees want, we'll consider the realities in the modern workplace. Things have changed. Time was that you would go to work for a company and expect to stay working for that company for your entire working life, retire, get retirement benefits for the company, and then rely on that in Social Security to last for the remainder of your life. Well, those days are very rapidly passing away, if not gone altogether, for most people. In the military, you're still able to put in 20 years, retire, and get continued health as well as pension benefits. Education fields. Some nursing institutions will let you do this if you're with a hospital long enough, which is problematical these days. We have lost this so-called social contract. We're now in what might be well called the gig economy. An employer needs workers. He hires them for as long as he needs them, and then he lets them go. The so-called gig economy. So, many workers in the modern era will go from gig to gig to gig to gig, but never actually accumulate any retirement income except what they are prudent enough to put by for themselves. The company doesn't do it. There is periodic talk of the federal government doing something, but nothing really has happened substantial yet. So, yeah, if you work in the gig economy, you are pretty well responsible for your own retirement, and in many times also your own health insurance. Now, this health insurance bit can get very, very costly indeed. Now you are mandated by governmental law, by federal law, to have health insurance, and so you must, one way or another. Sometimes your gig employer will assist in this matter, but other times not. We are seeing price inflation. Gasoline, housing, food. The dollar is not worth what it used to be. It doesn't buy near as much. So, there's an increasing need for people who once thought they had a comfortable retirement. Wow, I need some more money. I can't live on what I've got. I've got to do something. Hence my book, Make Your Own Job Anytime, Anywhere, at Any Age. Right here, that these lectures are based upon. Then we have housing scarcity. Where are you going to live? Now, there may be an excellent job opportunity. The money sounds real good, but there's no place to stay. You go there, the company doesn't offer anything so far as housing assistance, so you're out on your own to find whatever you can live in and have to pay whatever the market price is, or share with other people, which is something now being very commonly done. Then there are irregular hours. Your employer says, I want you and I will pay you when I need you. When I don't need you, I don't want you. Well, that doesn't do much for the pocketbook. That doesn't do much for planning, because you never know from month to month what your level of income might be. There's also child care cost for those who have childbearing age and child rearing age. Yeah, these are expensive. If you have toddlers, if you have infants, who is going to take care of these little people whilst you are at work. You've got to pay somebody to do it, either in your own home or elsewhere. This costs money. This is serious business. Then, health care. If you're young and you're lucky, maybe you can get along with minimal health care cost and insurance. For most people, that's a very dangerous tact, as I have already mentioned, to take, and we now have mandated health insurance. Retirement benefits. These, as already mentioned, are, just about gone with many companies. The uncertain future of Social Security. Well, it's said that Social Security is good. Well, that's fine for me, but it may not be fine for you. Yeah, you need to think that maybe Social Security won't be there, or will be so changed or so diminished that it will really not amount to anything. Right now, we're lucky in that the Social Security laws do allow a little bit for inflation. And by a little bit, I mean a little bit. So, it's not quite as bad as it might be, but it's not as good as it could be, or perhaps should be, if you're trying to pay bills out of what is largely a Social Security income. A low return on retirement investments. Interest rates of 1%. Good Lord, folks. 1%? 2%? Wow. I remember when interest accounts were bearing 11%. That was in an era of very high inflation indeed. But today's low interest rates and safe savings accounts are not worth very much. Then there is an uncertainty of what any stock options you may be offered will be worth by the time you retire. Companies' futures go up and down. Woof, 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 woof. Yeah, if your company stock looks good and you buy it, all right, maybe it will be worth more than you paid for it when you retire. And maybe it will be worth less. Almost the only thing is assured it'll not be worth the same. So, that's something of a gamble. You have altogether unpredictable life events. The company might be wiped out in some sort of natural disaster. Maybe the market completely changes. Woof. There's no demand for the product anymore. Buggy whips. Woof, woof, woof. Thriving business once upon a time. And actually you can make a little money with buggy whips right now. But in the meantime, well, not so hot, guys. So, what do you do to compensate for all of these realities? Well, basically, you create your own work. You create your own job, and you create an independent source of income outside of your work environment. The safer bet is to be far removed from your work environment so you don't have work conflicts. If you work for a company, it gets to be oftentimes a conflict of interest if you try to do the same thing on your own after you've retired. If you sell insurance, you can sell insurance for another company. I mean, that's no problem. But if you work in the technical field and you input technical data, perhaps you hold company patents or something like that, those are the company's properties, not yours. So you have to be careful, or you could be sued. And you don't want to be sued by a multi-million-dollar company. They can afford expensive lawyers, and you cannot. So, something independent of what you were doing if you were working in a technical industry or in a technical field. And we are going to help you find out and discover what those opportunities are in forthcoming lessons. Previously, I gave you an assignment. Now, based on prior experience, I would suppose that 86% of you have not done what I suggested. That is, gather material from your past life. And now is the time to do it. We have 3 weeks between now and when I really get into the nitty-gritty of you coming up with your own job ideas. That's when you will need this material. Perhaps there are holidays coming up. Okay, you're going to be going home anyway. So go in the basement, go in the attic, get out that big old dusty box of your high school stuff, or if you are now in high school, your grammar school stuff, and see what it has in it and review it. There are a very few special people who have nearly complete memories. Wow. These are very exceptional people indeed. And I talk about them in a talk I did in China. But most of us are not that fortunate. For some of us, it's hard for us to remember what we did yesterday, much less last week, or much less 2 decades past. So, go back and retrieve this data. Look at your high school yearbook. What did your friends find to do in later life? Maybe you could emulate that. Were they successful? Were they not? Why not? Okay? Maybe you will run across some old school papers that, oh yes, I was really passionately interested in that at the time, but I never had time to do anything with it. Now perhaps you do. Once you discover something like this that seems attractive, by all means write it down. We will do an exhaustive list later, but if you discover something, write it while you got it and keep it, because we will be listing and evaluating these things in a later lesson. So for now, go and retrieve this old stuff. Let it jog your memory. And take time to think about what you would really like to do and what you thought about doing way back when that maybe you can do right now.